Okay, hello everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to our new members. It's so nice to see you. And if this is your first time joining us for a Monday bite-sized training, again, welcome. So we have these most Mondays, apart from Mondays where it's public holidays or where I'm on leave or something like that. But in general, you can find all of these trainings just by doing a search in our group for hashtag bite-sized trainings. They're all there. I will try and organize them for everybody into a guide over the next few days if I've got time. So today what I wanted to talk with you about was undervaluing our services. And the reason that this is so important is because you have to remember, while we are counselors, we are not just counselors. We are not only counselors. We are counselors, and we are at the same level as psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers, because guess what? We all do our own work. No one is better than anybody else. We're all just doing things differently, and we are doing different things. So I know there's been this big narrative for a long time about, certain professions are higher and lower and all of that, but I want to squash that, and I want you to help me do that. And one of the ways that we can change the culture in our industry is by seeing our own value. If we don't see our own value, then how can we expect to be taken seriously by other organizations, by insurance companies, by NDIS, by whoever? Okay, so it has to begin with us, and I'm happy to help any of you see the value of the service that you're all providing. When we undervalue, we're creating a gap. We're creating a gap between what the true value is of what we're providing and what we're saying it's worth. Okay, there's a big gap there. And what we want to do is, fix that gap by bringing everything into alignment. And the way that we do that is by allowing ourselves to go to that place and see our worth. One of my coaches said to me a long time ago that when we undercharge, we're actually projecting our own limiting beliefs onto our clients. And when we do that, it's not fair. And I absolutely understand that because I did it. Total transparency here. I did it. As many of you know, I bulk billed, which meant I didn't charge a client out of their own pocket for like 17 years. I was getting, it started off at $74 for a 50-minute session, 50 to 60-minute session through Medicare, which of course is about $15 once you take out all your expenses. So it's just ridiculous money. And of course you can't survive on that sort of money. But I didn't charge my clients any out of pocket because I didn't think it was fair. I didn't think they could afford it, all of those sorts of things. And then what ended up happening was I nearly burned myself out because I had to see a much higher volume of clients. So for me back then, a fully booked diary was a calendar booked. It's ridiculous, but my calendar was booked from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 5 nights a week, and then on weekends up until about 2 in the afternoon. And I would just, because I was working at a bulk billing medical clinic, people would just not turn up, but we had to book in that many to make sure, like all the psychologists there at the time, we all had to book in that many to make sure that we at least saw 6 so that we could pay ourselves and of course pay the clinic. But the thing was that I was making assumptions about what people could and couldn't afford. And I made an assumption that because I wouldn't have been able to afford it, that they couldn't afford it. And what ended up happening was, to be totally honest with you, after doing it for so long, there did start to come almost some resentment because from time to time, people would skip appointments. They'd skip 2 or 3 in a row, which meant as a business owner, I didn't get paid, but I still had bills to pay. So I'm drawing on my own savings instead of drawing on the turnover from the business to pay my own bills. And, eventually the client would reappear and, want their session, and I'd welcome them back, and I'd have, the beaded hair because they've been in Bali for 3 weeks. So I'm not saying this is typical of all clients by any sense of the word, but what I'm sharing with you is that you have to be aware of what stories you are bringing to the conversation about your fee. If you don't value your service, then you will market the service in a way that clients aren't going to value it either. There was a post that was put up in the Counsellors Connect group a little while ago. I can't remember how long ago. It wasn't the only one. I've seen a few of them. I'm going to stop it as well, by the way. I'm going to go and address that today. But there was a post up there that said, can anybody recommend a cheap supervisor? A cheap supervisor. And I thought, I'm a supervisor and I would have liked to have helped that person. But the reason I didn't was because I didn't want to be seen as cheap. And I didn't want somebody working with me because of the price, because I was cheap. Because I knew that's the mindset that they're going to be coming to supervision with. And I want to work with people that value the service. And I'm not saying people who can't afford it don't value the service, but when somebody puts it out there like that, it's a problem. It's also a problem when people ask for free services. And I think this is something else that we see a lot in counselling. Having come from a psychologist background and been in the psychologist arena and the medical profession arena for so long, I can hand on heart tell you, in all my time in those professional groups, I've never once seen a psychologist ask for a free resource, ask for a handout, ask somebody, well, how much is this going to cost? I've never seen any bullying or belittling or anything like that over people, selling PD or things like that. It just doesn't happen. So why is it happening in counselling groups? Why is it that counsellors ask each other more frequently than in other professions? Why are they insisting, what's the best free supervision? What's the best free counselling? Can anybody recommend a free this or a free that? I don't understand why that happens. And it's my concern that if we continue down this path of, wanting the free things and wanting the cheap things and stuff like that, that we're only going to be undermining ourselves in the long run in terms of our own credibility as a profession. And I don't want that. I want us to be seen and taken seriously for the important contributions that each of us make every single day to our local communities and to the broader communities, as well as to our professional communities. And so for that reason, if you are wanting to say, can anybody recommend a low cost this or a free that or something, I don't want to see those posts in our group. I don't want to see them in the other group, for the simple reason that I want us to start appreciating our own value, because when we do, we'll be able to communicate it better to clients and better to other professions. And this is going to help raise not only our wealth consciousness, but it's also going to help us to raise our visibility as professionals in the mental health and the wellbeing space. And that's so, so, so important, because when we're seen as professionals, more opportunities become available to us as practitioners, as private practice owners, okay? And that's what we want. Now, the other thing is, you might say, oh, well, it's very difficult for us to change the culture. And I don't think it is. I think if we can each make a commitment to valuing the work that we do, and if we can each make a commitment to be more visible and more confident and more proud and more, do you know what I mean? All those sorts of things about the work that we do. This is absolutely going to help us over time raise our profile. And raising our profile is important because we want to be able to help more people. That's why we do this. So when we're running private practice, it's not just about the actual client work. There's work we need to do on ourselves as well. Your fee is a reflection of, in part what you're saying your service is worth. And you get to have an energy attached to that. Of course, the client's going to have their own energy attached to that, and they're either going to repel or they're going to match. Doesn't matter how much you charge, that people are either going to be attracted or repelled. Doesn't matter if you're charging $80 like I used to, or if you're charging $300 like I do now. There will always be people for you and always be people that aren't for you. And that's okay, because they're just going to go to somebody else in our community. And it's a nice feeling to be able to know that there's a constant flow there of clients. Okay. And there is absolutely an abundance of clients. It's not your responsibility to provide free services unless you want to, but you have to remember you need a private practice mindset, not an employee one. If you have a therapy mindset and you're helping everyone and you're not charging, you're saying, oh, they can't afford it, and you're going to have a hobby, or your practice is probably going to close. You have to have a private practice mindset, and that means being able to look at the numbers. It means being able to charge appropriately for your service. If you want to provide free services like I do sometimes, definitely you can say, I have one session a week available pro bono, for one client, and the other clients I'm going to charge for. You still get to help people. But if you're not generating turnover for your practice, you're not going to be reinvesting into the practice. And guess who's going to suffer? Not only you, but your clients. If you burn out, if you have to shut shop because you can't pay the rent, if you can't get good internet or whatever it is, or a camera that works, your clients are going to miss out as well as you. So it's important that you're charging accordingly and appropriately. And to support you in doing this, please go to the file section of our group, because I did create a free PDF for you that's got a fee schedule in it. Now, this fee schedule is a guide. You do not have to charge the fee that I've recommended. However, it would be very good for your marketing if you said, the recommended fee by the ACPPO is this amount per session. My fee is this, right? Show that your fee is a little bit less. It conveys value, but don't show that it's a lot less. Otherwise, people get suspicious and they're not going to want to work with you, The other thing that's in that guide for you as well that you can use is inclusions about what to charge for things outside the face-to-face therapy, outside that therapeutic setting. So I'm talking about charging for court reports, charging for your admin, charging for all those calls you have with, case conferences and coordinators and all of that sort of stuff. Recommended fees are in there. So do jump in and have a look. If you don't use it to the letter, that's totally fine. But you've got something to lean into when you do get asked to provide the file, when you do get asked to write the report, when you do get asked what your actual fee is. So it gives you that greater sense of confidence, having a framework there of recommended fees, okay? But I think it might also be helpful for us to, at some point, even consider for ourselves a standard fee of, what we would all feel generally comfortable. And I don't want to talk about levels and masters and diplomas. I'm just talking in general as counsellors for the work that we do. If it's going to be helpful to, for most of us or for a majority to agree on what a basic session fee could be, of course there are going to be variables, but if we could get some consensus on what a standard fee could be, maybe that's a path that we can also look at as well, because that would help us raise our profile and be taken more seriously in the profession. When this happens, it means too that our clients can also access higher rebates from their health insurance providers, depending on their level of cover. So it benefits everybody. So this is my training today. If you're undercharging, if you're undervaluing your service, then I want you to do inner work. I want you to do that reflective practice in your own time. Find out what beliefs are you projecting onto your clients and what are you going to do about it. And if you need help, send me a private message. You can, of course, post in the comments, But this is a sensitive topic, talking about money, and I appreciate not everybody's going to be wanting to share their money beliefs and all of that sort of stuff in our group. So this is your invitation to send me a message if you like. I'll get back to you in the morning or the evening, and we can work on this together, because I want you to be able to have a highly successful, whatever success looks like to you, practice by the end of 2022. By the end of the year, I want everybody in this group celebrating their beautiful private practices being exactly where they want them to be. Okay, this is just one step. Okay, so I hope you found this really helpful. I look forward to hearing your comments, reading your comments and seeing your feedback. And yeah, let's raise each other up. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for the other, 1,999 people in our group. Okay. All right. Have a beautiful day, everybody. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.